Can you believe Curaçao, I believe that's the right pronunciation, have qualified for the World Cup? This is a flag of Curaçao, so to give you an idea of where you might see it more familiarly, I'll start with a Google Earth view of what looks like the main stadium and the second main stadium in the island's capital of Wilhelmstadt. The island itself is in the southern Caribbean, and you will find it as eventually Google Earth opens out to the north of Venezuela. Although this is a world map and I wouldn't try swimming it. Now, just before I talk about the Dutch connection, let's put this into perspective by comparing Curaçao's progression to the World Cup finals alongside what you might say is Europe's most minnowy achievement when Iceland got to the World Cup finals in Russia in 2018. Only got 1 point there, but it was a draw with Argentina. Their population at the time was about 1/3 about the same as Leicester, as Gary Lineker pointed out while covering the game. So as I was saying, there's a Dutch colonial connection and there's also a Dutch coaching connection. This list here, headed by Dick Advocaat, has a lot of Dutch flags about it. I also notice that if you have a look at the players that play internationally for Curaçao, a lot of them have got connections with Dutch clubs. Maybe not Ajax or Feyenoord, but still top-level Dutch clubs. Plus you'll see 1 or 2 championship clubs come up there. Now, on the basis that Curaçao is a Dutch colony, I do wonder if there are political elements that allow a lot of useful Dutch players to become eligible for Curaçao. But at the end of the day, everybody plays that game to some extent. At the last few World Cups, up to including Qatar 2022, the number of qualifiers was 32. For the 2026 version, it's been expanded by 50% to 48, meaning that whereas the North and Central American qualifying group was allowed 4 final places, it will now be allowed 6. Next, we can hardly disregard the fact that the next World Cup is being co-hosted by the USA, Canada and Mexico, who all qualify automatically. 2 of those teams, USA and Mexico, don't usually have that much difficulty qualifying anyway. Canada, not their first time, they have qualified once. And so, with 4 to 6 places, it's bound to open the door for someone new. On the other hand, Costa Rica and Honduras have also qualified for plenty of World Cups and upset a few big boys along the way, but have failed in qualifying on this occasion. And it should be added, Curaçao qualified for World Cup by winning Group B of the CONCACAF qualification zone, topping a group that also featured Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, themselves former qualifiers for World Cup on a number of occasions. Conclusively, it would be unfair of me not to mention other first-time qualifiers will be at the World Cup in 26, Jordan, Uzbekistan and Cape Verde. But like I said at the beginning of the video, a small island in the Caribbean with just 160,000 inhabitants, it's got to be the recipe for an underdog, and everyone likes an underdog. I'll certainly be looking forward to the draw, and I imagine it'd be very interesting if Curaçao were to draw the Netherlands. That would be a bit like England drawing the Isle of Man or Gibraltar. However, they could also draw Brazil. What a contrast that would be. Whatever, I'm looking forward to cheering them on as one of the underdogs. I want England to win, but certainly I'm going to make Curaçao my second favourite team of the tournament.